Welcome to your virtual art lesson with Miss Wright. Hey, that's me. So today's lesson is going to be on self-portraits and expression. Yay! All right, so to get started, here are some examples of the project that we're going to be working on today. And I made examples of all kinds of different people. This one is me. And there is what's going on the inside. So you probably noticed there's a bit of a crack in the portraits, and that's because there's a hidden inside of the portraits. All right, so let's get to it. Hello and welcome, my fellow artists. Today, I'm going to show you how to make one of these super wacky, awesome portraits. You might ask me, Miss Wright, what makes this portrait so cool? Well, you might see there's something a little funky going on there. There is a fun surprise on the inside. So this portrait does not just show how you look, it shows how you feel and what makes you, you. So I wrote on the inside of mine, excited, because I am super excited to be here. I wrote kind and thoughtful because those are words that describe me. And you'll notice I didn't write anything like tall or pretty because that just says how I look. I want people to know what I'm thinking. Everyone can see how I look, but no one knows what I'm thinking on the inside and how I'm feeling and what emotions I'm feeling. So I also put family and art on the inside there because those are two really important things to me in my life. So in the end, you get this super awesome portrait with this wacky pattern around the outside. And that pattern is inspired by an artist, which I'm going to teach you about very soon. But first, let's talk about some materials. So for this project, you're just going to need a white piece of printer paper, just one sheet, just nice and plain, pretty easy. And then you're going to need some colors, which is probably the most important thing. And for the colors, I chose to use colored pencils to do my portrait because that's what I like to use. But you can use whatever you want and whatever you have. So you could use colored pencils, you could use markers, you could use paint of different kinds. It's really all up to you because this is a self-portrait. So it's all about you and yourself and what you want to do. So without further ado, I'm going to turn you over to virtual Miss Wright so that she can tell you all about Alma Woodsy Thomas and how she expresses herself so that you can learn and find new ways to express yourself in your art. I will see you guys soon. Bye. So let's learn about Alma Woodsy Thomas. First things first, who was she anyways? That's a great question. She, of course, was an artist, just like all of you. Alma Woodsy Thomas worked with a very special type of art called abstract art. So abstract art is a form of art that has more to do with shapes, colors, and feelings than representing something realistically. This is in contrast with representational art. Now, I know that's a big word, but the definition is pretty simple. Representational art is art that represents an object or subject. You can usually easily tell what it is. So On the left, that is an example of representational art. The trees are very clearly trees. You can tell that it's a scene in the forest, and it's easy to identify. And the piece on the right, which is a piece by Alma Woodsey Thomas, is an example of abstract art because you can't necessarily tell what she was trying to convey with it. It could be, a sun, it could be the moon, it could be a black hole, it could be a drop of water on a pond. You really don't know what exactly she was trying to convey with it, but you can tell that she's expressing something with the colors that she's using and the technique. So there's another definition for you. Expression in art. So when we talk about expression in art, we're referring to how we can take what we're feeling on the inside and show it on the outside. So Alma Woodsey Thomas did a lot of this using bright colors and patterning, and we don't necessarily know what exactly she was trying to show with this, but we know that she was trying to show something, and these are some of her pieces here. All right, so let's get to our project. First things first, I'm going to show you how to fold your paper to get it to look like a cool door. Okay, so the first step is to fold your paper in half the hamburger way, so the short way. Make sure your edges line up nicely before you make the crease. Once you've done that, you want to open up your paper, and you've got this nice line here. You're going to take each outside edge, fold it to the inside, and make sure it lines up with this line here, and then fold the paper to make a crease. And do the same thing on the other side. Then, unfold the whole thing and flip it over. Now you're going to take this line and fold it so that it meets this line. So, it'll look a little something like that. Then, you should do the same thing on the other side so that you get a fold there. So, repeat the same step on the other side, folding this over, and make sure that the paper is touching in the middle. You want it to touch so that you can draw on it. There. Now, you've got your little surprise door fold. The next step in the process is to draw a sketch of what you're going to look like. So you're going to be drawing your face, and this is the portrait part. So, first of all, you're going to want to use a pencil because you're going to want to be able to erase whenever you need to. So, the first step is to find the middle of your page and put your hand right there, right on the middle of the page, so it's right in the center. Take your pencil and mark on each side of your fingers so that you have a 4-finger distance across. Make little marks, pick your hand up, and now you can see a guideline of how big your head is supposed to be. Next, you're going to want to draw an upside down egg shape. for the head. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's okay if it's not perfect. And if you make a mistake, it's easy to just erase it and clean it up as you go. There's no shame in fixing your mistakes, and there's no shame in it not being perfect the first time. So next, you're going to take your finger, find the center of your circle, just wherever you think the middle is, and trace the top of your finger, just like that. That will be your nose. Next, now this is a little wacky, but next you're going to take your same finger and put it about that far above, right there, and do the same thing again. Now I know what you're thinking, that's a little crazy, no one has two noses like that. Well, I'm about to show you why we just did that, and also why we're doing this in pencil. So take your finger again and put it right next to that top one, that top rainbow shape, and make another one, and then do the same thing on the other side. Now, you take your pencil and draw a straight line under each rainbow shape, and then take your eraser and erase the middle rainbow shape. Now what you have is a pair of eyes. So now you can draw some circles in the inside of those little rainbow shapes to make your irises of your eyes. Next, you're going to do the mouth. So you're going to take your index finger again, put it right under the nose, almost like you have a silly mustache. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a straight line, and then I'm going to draw a U shape under it to make it like a lazy D. And that's how I'm drawing my mouth today. But you don't have to draw your mouth that way. And I'll show you some other steps on different ways to draw mouths and noses after this video. So next, you're going to take your index finger and put it over the eyes and make a mark right on the tip of your finger. And then do the same thing on the other side. And then you're going to take your finger again, put it over the top of your mouth, and draw a little line on the end. Same thing on the other side. Then you're going to take your pencil and do a long C shape and a long backward C shape to make your ears. Next, you can do your eyebrows. I like to do little arches like that, but you don't have to. You can do the eyebrows however you want. Then you can also add some details, like I'm going to draw a line in here to show my teeth. And then you're going to take two fingers and put them right in the middle, and take your pencil and trace the very edge of them just a little bit, and that will make your neck. Now it's not going to look perfect, but you can always clean it up however you want. Next, you're going to take your pencil and draw a diagonal line. So going like this, diagonal line, almost to the very edge of your paper. And do the same thing on the other side. Then you're going to take your pencil, and from right here, you're going to go down and connect it right to the corner of your paper. Do the same thing on the other side. Next, you can add your hair. So I'm going to put a part right here. I'm going to start the hair right there. Everybody's hair looks different, so you're not all going to do your hair this way. This is how I'm doing it right now. So I'm taking it from wherever I've put this part, and I'm drawing a nice round line down to where the ear is. Then I'm going to take it from behind the ear, go out a little bit, and then straight in to where the neck is. Same thing on the other side. Now, this isn't what everybody's hair looks like, so I'll be showing you some different examples of different types of hair that you can draw and different ideas. You can draw your hair however you want as long as it looks like you, and you can also do that with the nose, the mouth, the eyebrows. Next, you can put in the collar of your shirt. So I'm going to do a nice U shape like that, and then another one below it. You could also do a V-neck shirt, or really any type of shirt that you want. You can draw a couple little lines right on the edge of the page for where your arms are. And then, that's it. You're all done with the sketch. So you just got to look at how I made that example, but there's other ways that you can draw your portrait. One of those things is you could make the nose different. So you could draw your nose like a U shape, like the one on the top right. You could draw it like an upside down U shape, like the one on the top left, and how I did most of the examples, and the example video did it that way. Or you could go with something a little more complex, like on the bottom, which is a U shape with 2 dots on each end of the U, and then a backward C shape and a C shape on either side to make the nostrils. You can also make the mouth different, so you can make a big, lazy D shape for a big, goofy grin and open mouth. And drawing 2 lines on the inside for the teeth. You could also make a smaller grin and draw a line on the inside for the teeth. You could also make a frown because you don't always need to be happy. And then you could also draw yourself with a missing tooth because maybe the tooth fairy came. Maybe you lost a tooth. I don't know. You really just want to make it look like you and make it unique, just like you. So another thing that you can make different is the emotions. So you don't always have to be happy and smiling all the time. Maybe you're sad, like the drawing on the left, or maybe you're feeling a little bit confused and disoriented, like the girl in the middle. Or maybe you're just really grumpy and angry. You know, you might be having a bad day, like the person on the right. So you are also encouraged to add little details that make it special. So if you have glasses, feel free to draw your glasses onto the portrait. And if you have freckles, you should add those too. So you can make creative choices, but remember to ask yourself, why? So it's okay if you want to color your hair bright blue, because maybe you have always wanted to have blue hair and it's your favorite color and you just love blue and it really has something to do with who you are. So as long as you can explain that to me, you can color your hair blue because it has to do with your identity. So having the blue hair helps describe who you are even further. So that is totally okay to do in this project. So now that you have your portrait drawn out, the next step is to add your colors. So I'm using these colored pencils. You can use something else if you want though. So you can use markers, paint, really anything that you have. But I'll just be showing you how to use colored pencils for this today. But feel free to use whatever material you want. Now, there's no exact right or wrong way to color this because everyone looks different. Just try your hardest to make it look like you. So what I am going to do first is I'm going to do the skin, and I'm going to do it by layering colors. So I'm going to take my brown, I'm going to color really lightly so you can barely even see it. And now this is just to get my skin tone, but everyone looks different. So you should be trying to make it look like you. Make sure you don't forget the neck and the ears. Then I'm going to use the orange, and I'm going to go over it again really lightly. And then I'm going to take my yellow and do the same thing. Next, I'm going to color the irises. Now you can do this in whatever order you want, but I'm going to do the irises next, and you can also do whatever color your eyes are. So you can consider asking a friend or a family member to tell you what color your eyes are, because maybe you don't know, or maybe get a mirror and look in the mirror. Now I have brown eyes, but this isn't me. This is just a portrait of just a random person, just so that I can show you guys how to do this. So I think I'm going to get creative, and I'm going to use blue. So I'm just filling in the little circles that we drew in the eyes. There. And now, because I drew that mouth open, I'm going to take my pink, and I'm going to fill in the inside of my mouth. Next, I think I'll go for the hair. And I think I'm going to make this person blonde. So this hair should match what your actual hair looks like. But if you feel like doing something a little extra crazy, you can totally do that. So you can't just make up whatever you want, but maybe, let's say, I've always wanted to dye my hair purple. Then I can draw a portrait of myself with purple hair, and then if you can tell me about it, and you can say, Miss Wright, I made my hair purple because I love the color purple, and I've always wanted to have purple hair, and that's how I want to look. Then that's okay, and you can color your hair purple as long as you can tell me why. But there's nothing wrong with just basing it off of your actual hair color. That's okay too. Just make sure you color it all in completely. And then it's time to move on to the shirt. So I think all this talk about purple is making me want to draw a purple shirt. So before I color it in, maybe before I even use the purple, I'm deciding I want it to be purple and green stripes. So I'm going to take my green, and maybe I'll do the collar in green, and then maybe I'll do some little stripes going across there. Now you don't have to do a striped shirt. You can do whatever you want. You can leave your shirt plain if you want to. You can draw a little picture on your shirt. It's really all up to you, because this is all about you. It's a self-portrait. So once I've got my nice green stripes on there, I'm going to fill in the rest of it in purple. Now, you don't have to do this, but sometimes I like to go back in with a black colored pencil and go over those old pencil lines to make them nice and clean. So I'm just tracing over the lines that are already there, and you do not have to do this if you don't want to. So I'm just trying to make it look nice and clean and finished, and making sure that my lines are now showing up. Because I know some of them that are in the shirt, they're a little bit harder to see now that I've colored it in. So I'm just trying to make sure that everything is nice and bright and bold, just to make sure that everyone can see this super awesome drawing that you just made. If you want to, you can even add little details like eyelashes. I'm just going to add a couple in the corners of the eyes. So now you have colored in your portrait, and it should split apart to show the inside. There, you're all done with that. And the next step will be to fill in those words that are going to go on the inside. So I will see you soon. So the next step, now that you have your portrait all done, is to decide what words you want to put on the inside. So you can see here, I've got 5 different fun words that I've put on the inside of this example. So we're going to think of 5 right now that I can put on this one. So, first, look at your portrait and think about what you're feeling in this portrait. So, I want you to come up with one word that's an emotion. So, that could be happy, it could be sad, it could be angry, it could be excited, it could be goofy or silly. I think for this one, I'm going to use the word cheery. So I'd recommend you start with a pencil to sketch out how you want your letters to look, because you won't always get it right on the first try. So I'm just doing some fun lettering. You can draw your letters in any way you want. You can put your words anywhere on the page, as long as I can read them and they are big enough. There, so that's my first word, cheery. Okay, so then I want you to think about what you want for your other 4 words. So your options are, you could do another emotion, you could do a word that describes you, or you could do something that's important to you. So I think for this one, my next word, I'm going to put friends, because maybe friends are really important to her. So I'm going to put that in nice and big right at the top. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but I do want you to try your hardest to fill in this whole space with these words. Now you can do more than 5 words if you want. You don't have to stop at 5. You can write as many words as you want, as long as they're all words that are either an emotion that you're feeling, something that describes you, or something that's important to you. So I'm thinking maybe something else that's important to this person is sharing. So I'm going to make some nice swirly letters and spell out sharing. Now you can use a dictionary when you do this, if you'd like to make sure that you're getting your words spelled correctly. That's also part of why I'm using pencil instead of going right in with the colors, is to make sure that I'm spelling my words right. So there's an emotion that this person's feeling, and 2 things that's important to them. How about 2 things that describe them now? So I'm going to say something I could say interesting. Maybe this is a very interesting person. Now, interesting is a really long word, so it's important you plan out the space it's going to take up. There's another one. And now, let's say one word that describes her. So maybe this person is very polite. And if you're having a hard time coming up with words to describe yourself, you can ask your friends or family. Now, one thing that's important when you're coming up with these words is that you don't use words that describe what you look like. So I'm not going to write pretty as one of my words, because everyone knows what you look like. Not everyone knows what's going on inside of your head. So the whole idea about this project is you're displaying something that people don't already know about you. You're sharing something new. And especially, you're sharing your emotions and what you think of yourself. And not everyone knows these things. So once I have this all sketched out, you can see how the portrait is there. And it opens up to see these great words. So now I'm going to want to add some colors to these, but I'll show you that in the next video. See you then. So the next step is to color your words. Now it's important that each word has a distinct color. So I'm going to color these. You can color them in whatever order you want, but each word has to have its own color. So I'm going to go right ahead. I'm going to say sharing. I'm going to make that red. I'm just going to go over my pencil line. Just make sure it shows up in red. Other letters you might want to color in the pencil line. So bubble letters you're going to want to fill in. Now it's important to make sure you don't draw over the line and onto your drawing. And if you want to double check and make sure, you can even fold it under so that you won't draw on it by mistake. So that's actually a really good idea to do before you start coloring. So I think I'm going to color in cheery, bright yellow. Now I'm going to color in the word interesting actually I think I'm going to color it in a bluish greenish color. This is just the one that I have. It's like a teal or an aqua is another word for it that you might hear. Now remember, you get to use whatever colors you want. So any color that comes to mind when you look at the word is whatever you can do. So next I'm going to color in polite, and I'm going to color it blue. So maybe that's just the color I think of when I think of the word polite. And maybe you think of a different color. That's okay. Everyone thinks of things a little bit differently. So any color that you feel is right, or maybe just any color that you think would look good, whatever you want, because this is your project. Okay, and now I think I'm going to color in friends nice and green. Okay, now that I have all my words colored in, I can work on the background because we don't want to leave it blank and white. So you can use whatever colors you want, and you can do any design you want to just fill in the background. There. Now my space is all filled in, and if you want to, you can go back with a black colored pencil. I'm just tracing over the lines that were already there. Once again, you don't have to do this. It's just a choice that you can make if you want to. Now my letters really pop. Now if I unfold the outside, you see this nice blank portrait, and then all the things that are going on inside. So next, I'm going to show you how to take your words on the inside and coordinate them with these dots on the outside. So that'll be coming up next. Welcome back. So now that we have these beautiful words on the inside, I'm going to show you how to get those dashes on the outside. So your first step is picking your colors. So the first color that you want to pick out is the one that you're feeling in the portrait. Now this girl looks pretty cheery in the portrait. So I'm going to use this word, cheery, and that's why you had to use a word that describes how you look in the portrait. So I'm going to select the color that matches, which is yellow, because I wrote cheery in yellow. And then I'm going to fold up my portrait, and I'm going to start wherever I want to along the edge of the portrait and just make little dashes like that. They don't have to be huge. They don't have to be small. They can really be any size that you want, and just follow along the edge of your portrait. Just make sure that you go all the way around the portrait and that you're not accidentally coloring over your portrait. Corners can be a little tricky, but you can squeeze them in there. There you go. Now let me get to the other side. There. Now that I've done my yellow that goes with the word cheery, I'm going to pick the next most important thing to me, or to this person in this situation. So let's say the next most important thing is friends. Friends are really important to her. So I'm going to select the green colored pencil that I used to do the green word friends. And I'm just going to do the same thing again. I'm going to start going around the head, and it's just past the yellow. So this time, instead of going around the portrait, you're going around the yellow outline. Now don't worry if it starts going off the edge, that's okay, it's supposed to do that. Okay, now that's done. Now you have to look and say, maybe what's the next most important thing? And I think I'm going to say polite. So I'm going to select the blue that matches with the word polite. And I'm going to do the same thing. There. Now, maybe the next most important thing is sharing. So I'm going to take my red that matches the word sharing and go around with the red. Now the fun part about this is that it's like a little secret code just for you, because only you know that the red means sharing. For somebody else, red might mean something else. So everybody's portrait is going to come out different based on what you chose. And now the last one left is interesting. So I'm finding the colored pencil that matches that word, and then I'm going to put my last level of dashes around the portrait. And notice how I'm letting it just disappear off the edge. That's okay. There. So now that you've put in your expressive colors and using that patterning inspired by Alma Woodsy Thomas, and you open it up and you've got the words that correspond, so you can look at this and say, okay, that yellow goes with cheery, the green goes with friends, the blue goes with polite, the red goes with sharing, and the aqua or teal goes with interesting. So you have this piece of artwork that shows how you look on the outside and how you feel on the inside. And there you have it. You are all done. Congratulations, you did great. Congratulations, you did it. You made it through the lesson. I'm sure you did great, and I'm so proud of you from persisting through any types of struggles that you might have had. I hope that you made some artwork that you can be proud of. See you around.